Don't Give Up Your Day Job, a local musician's guide. By me, Paul Gillings. An educational and sometimes humorous look at what it's like to be part of the local music scene. Now in conjunction with Indie Kid Records. So here we are again. Don't Give Up Your Day Job, the local musician's guide. My podcast from me, Paul Gillings. And I've got a bit of a change of tack again. So I've been doing it as a guide, a how-to, a little sort of, workaround. I didn't know how to be a DIY musician, and I thought I'd just ask everybody and everyone how they did it and then steal all their ideas. But I've kind of changed tack a little bit lately and put the focus on some individual artists, individual musicians from the local scene here in Lowestoft and the surrounding area on the east coast of the UK. And I'm very pleased to say I've got an exceptional guitarist. By the look of his videos, he's sniggering off me, but I'll introduce him in a moment. But I want to say how we met, first of all, because I'm really chuffed that someone actually got in touch after every time I share the show on social media. On my socials, I say, if anyone from the local area wants to get in touch and talk about what it is they do, I'd love to have you on the show. And this young man is only one of two people that got in touch. So please, anybody else, if you would like to come and talk to me, I guess depending on how this interview goes, you might not want to. You might think, I don't want to be abused by him. But you might love it. You might be an absolute masochist. So I have with me the extremely talented, young and good-looking Mr. Robby Hodgey. Hello, mate.
Hello, sir. Well, thank you very much for your lovely intro. It's ever so kind of you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming over, and thanks for getting in touch. What made you want to get in touch and talk to me?
Literally, I was browsing Facebook, and I saw that you had Ryan Redwood on it, and I listened to that with you guys, and I kind of thought, I really want to go chat and do this too, I thought it'd be a really good idea to meet somebody new as well and talk about different things and that, So and that just kind of inspired me to just sort of I'm going to do that as well, because
awesome.
Sounds really fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it is fun, and it's not necessarily. I don't know what people's if there's a barrier with anything. I think my friend Danny asks, perhaps it's one of two things. Maybe it's kind of like, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think what I've got is good enough to share, or it could be like, perhaps some people are waiting until it's popular. You'll be waiting a long time, my friend.
Yeah, I think you will.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm joking.
Get off to a great start. We'll see how this goes. So you are a guitarist? Are you a songwriter as well?
Yes, I do my own thing as well, with the bands I've done in the past. I've done original music for quite a while now.
Yeah. And what are you up to musically at the moment then?
Right, so at the minute, I have a band, but it's just myself and the singer at the moment, under the name Smoking Mirrors. We've been doing that band for a while, and we released a song back in November, and we do want to get back and get some more music recorded and stuff eventually, but we'd also like to find a band again to go out and gig again together.
So this is a duo you've got at the moment, a little working songwriting partnership, yeah?
Yeah, well, we were a four-piece, but the drummer parted ways with us, and he joined another group, and then me and the singer decided that, because we did a lot of the work with the music, that we wrote a lot of it and he had his studio at home, we thought we might as well just do it as the two of us. We've got all the equipment and all the time, so why not go for it? But we did that for a while, and then after a while we sort of both said we kind of want to gig again, we want to get out there, and because we can't do it on our own.
You can fancy backing tracks or anything
like that? No, you can't beat a good live band, can you?
I totally agree. I mean, my last two albums have electronic, sampled drums, and I played the bass and guitars on them with not the lead breaks. But yeah, I can't gig those live, and that's kind of a shame. But also, it is what it is, and it didn't pretend to be anything else. But you had a hankering for the live situation. So is there a drummer and bass player in the offing?
We can't seem to we've been looking around, but we're not finding exactly everything at the moment. But we're hoping to just keep pushing with it. I mean, aside from what we're doing with that, we started doing a little covers function thing as well on the side. We haven't got a name for that or anything at the moment. We've been rehearsing and we have guys in that group, but we kind of, I don't know, it's because that's that we want to find something different for the band, like
Okay,
Smoke
so you
and
don't
Mirrors.
want the same members
Yeah, pretty
in both
much.
bands then?
Yeah, because then you come see us as a covers band, and then you'd be like, yeah, come Smoke and Mirrors. It's the same band. Like, you know, yeah. So but the guys in the covers group, they're really great.
What's your cover band called?
We haven't got a name yet. We can't.
Naming bands is a nightmare. Do you not think?
Honestly, it's the worst. I've been lucky sometimes because we've had in bands I've had in the past. Like, I mean, with TOR with Ryan, they'd already established that. So when I joined them, they'd already had a name and everything, so I didn't have to worry. But in Painted Soul and Smoke and Mirrors, it was like we were trying to find exactly what we were all happy with. And well, with Painted Soul, that was the reason that was called that was because we were in a group chat one day and I suggested the name Frames for the band because I thought if you look at a band, you think like the band is the frame of a picture and the music they make is what you picture inside your head. So I was like, okay, I thought that'd be pretty interesting.
It's a fairly deep name, to be honest. Painted Soul. Oh, she's got a painted soul. I don't like date a girl with a painted soul, I think, you know, if I was single, which I'm not. And so yeah, picking band names, utter nightmare. And you mentioned a couple of your previous bands there, and I want to go back and rewind through your
that's fine.
history.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going off.
But what kind of stuff is Smoking Mirrors doing? How would you? Is there anything sort of, I guess, in the mainstream or ex-mainstream you kind of compare? So obviously it's guitar-based rock music.
Well, it was like very when it first started. Because when I first started, it was just me, the drummer, and the bassist. Because Painted Soul broke up, and then I joined TOR, and then I thought, the music I write for myself isn't what would go with TOR. And I was like, I need to express this somewhere else. So I got in touch with some guys that I used to play music with. And I showed them what I'd made and they loved it. And it was very like Rage Against the Machine / Red Hot Chili Peppers kind
like
of
big and funky.
Like riffy rock stuff with a bit of groove. Like
I noticed you're a Chili Peppers fan by some of your videos.
Oh, they're my favourite.
I want to ask you about those. So like I've seen one where you're doing the guitar ending for the new Block Party song.
Oh, I love Block Party.
Did you learn that by ear? Those two parts? Did you?
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
it's absolutely incredible. And then you've cut yourself in a little inset video in there as well. And is that something you've been doing like regular anyway? Is it a lockdown thing, or is it just like, I like the sound of that, I'm just going to lay that down and showbox?
A bit of everything, I guess. It did start out more in lockdown because my dad, luckily my dad was kind enough to purchase me a MacBook.
Bless him.
And then I was able to use that MacBook.
Dad, if you're listening, I want a MacBook. My dad, buy me a MacBook, please. Thank you.
Yeah, do it. But so my dad did that for me, and I'd asked him if he could help me out, and he did in the end. And then I'd started using GarageBand again on Mac because I used it on iPhone and iPad for a long time, and then I got into GarageBand on my MacBook, and I thought, I want to do videos because I had a camera on the MacBook and that as well, and all iMovie and stuff. And I thought, I know kind of how to use
great
those.
Creative tool. That I am a dyed-in-the-wool Mac man, being a graphic designer of 25 years. So it's all I ever knew. And you mentioned when you first came into the studio, you're using GarageBand, and I tell you, it was on the Mac when I bought it.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, why would I not use that?
Yeah, it's free. Everything on it's free, and it's just so good. Like you can do so much with it. Yeah,
clearly not a toy, despite what some. Perhaps more. I want to say snooty. Damn it, I'm saying snooty. Yeah. Snooty. The sound engineers might say. I mean, the bigger boys want to use bigger software. For me and our level of understanding, it's perfect, isn't it? Even the sort of in the box kind of the patches and stuff like that. The guitar sounds are mental.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I love that you can like choose what cab you want for your guitar, and then the position of the microphone and what type of microphone you want as well. I mean, some people might be snooty about it, but I don't even care.
Honestly,
I love how it sounds, and that's fine.
I'm with you. Like, I think it's a great, absolutely great app to use on. I would recommend it to anybody. And if you're not sure about, anyone who's listening, if you're not sure about music production or it intimidates you and that, GarageBand honestly is
a great introduction, isn't it?
It's one of the easiest things to get along with, I've found, and it's easy to learn. There's groups out there as well, so if you ever get stuck and you want some advice, join the groups, and the communities are great. Like Reddit, Facebook, I'm in both of them, and they're incredible people.
I've never looked at Reddit. It kind of looks like a bit of a wild west of social media.
I love it.
Is it all right?
It's great. Yeah. I love it. I live stream on there. Like I do
you?
Guitar streams and stuff on there sometimes, and I had a stream a couple of months ago that I did. I'm not trying to boast or anything. I did a stream on there a couple of months ago, and there was 800,000 people in there.
Whoa.
And I was like, because I was just sitting playing guitar in my front room, my phone was on the floor filming me like on this stream, and I was just playing guitar, and then I look up and I'm like, what? Like, what just happened? But
Jeez.
that's happened a couple of times because
Really?
the algorithm on Reddit works really well like that, and
Right.
I've just been really lucky sometimes, and people are so nice on there as well. Like,
I thought it was just a text-based sort of, leave a question and someone will answer eventually kind of thing.
yeah,
but-
you can do that.
Okay.
There's subreddits for everything, like communities for anything you can think of. I guarantee there's
Yeah,
a community for it.
Okay, well, this is interesting. No one's ever mentioned Reddit for musicians before, especially live streaming.
I love it.
I've heard Twitch said a few times. Our mutual friend Ryan Redwood, hello
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yeah.
said about
Same Ryan.
what he said. He said about Twitch, which he'd been using as as a gamer
Yeah.
beforehand, and then live streaming on there. And Danny and I have done a Twitch through Wendy House over in Galston. But yeah, Reddit. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely
great.
look into that.
The
Awesome.
ARPAN, like the Reddit Public Access Network, which is their live streaming thing.
Right.
That's always got musicians on there. There's either people doing art, people just chilling, like listening to music, wanting to chat, people listening, like doing DJ sets, people playing guitar, drummers, all sorts. Like,
Sounds like early days of Yahoo chat rooms.
Honestly,
when I was younger, it sounds very community. Sounds
Yeah,
nice. The nice side of the internet, right?
it's incredible, yeah.
Awesome.
There's obviously some bad parts to Reddit. I've had some sour people on there before when I
Sour.
posted things.
Good description.
Yeah,
Because
well,
they
yeah.
are basically,
Yeah,
aren't they?
like they are. Like, but like I just I try my best. Like Chris in my band, he always says to me, like with things like that, just kill it with kindness. Because when someone's like that, if you're just like, oh thanks man, they sort of like go, I don't know what to do. Like I can't deal with this. Like I thought this guy'd be upset, but he's not. I don't know what to do. Like
That's great advice. Kill him with kindness. Yeah, I do worry about. I've got my daughter's 8 years old. I do worry about social media and bullying and all that. But yeah, I guess if you're sticking to the positive sides, stay away from it. It can be fabulous.
Trust me, it's tempting sometimes to bite back.
Is
Like
it?
when someone says something to you and it really hits a nerve, it is
Yeah.
tempting. But I just think, if I post this, it's never going away. Even if I delete it, it's never going away.
very
And I
true.
don't want anyone to look at me in a bad light like that, because
Sure.
I've made a lot of mistakes in my life where I've made myself look like a person I'm not,
Right.
because of like a mental health things and,
Sure,
and
sure.
impulsive decisions to do stupid things. I've done all that, and
Well, thankfully,
Yeah.
I did a whole bunch of those in the 90s before the internet. But it's a good job I have old friends who can remind me of those things every time we meet up for a beer twice a year.
Yeah, cheers, boys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Let's wheel that out. I'm looking forward to Christmas when my mate comes back from London. Thanks, Adam, and tells me all about the stupid shit I did when I was in my 20s.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't envy young people with the time and to do those things. And like I say, I have been so tempted to bite back. Even recently, one guy left a message on one of my YouTube videos saying your tone is shit.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, and I said thanks. I just said thanks very much. Kill him with kindness.
Yeah, literally.
So he then, that wasn't enough, so he started personal messaging me asking for advice on which harmonica to buy, and I said, well look mate, I feel a bit, don't feel good about giving you harmonica advice after your quite nasty comment, unfounded comment on my YouTube. And he said, well, I didn't know you were going to get a whole bunch of butt hurt about it and you were going to be such a sissy. It was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, block.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Wow, that's ridiculous.
Absolutely no need. I mean, perhaps I should have just said, yeah, sure, buy this brand of harmonica. It's fabulous, mate.
You should have sent him a link to like some random like video or something that would like really mess with his head or something. Just be like, go on this site, man. Click this link.
A
and it'll
really
sort you right
expensive
out.
one, like the super, like.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Like a proper gold-plated one, like diamonds and everything. Like.
So, Robbie, I want to ask you, because it fascinates me what gets people into music in the first place. So I want to take you way back, and I want to work, if I can, way through your musical life and influences.
Okay.
So, guitarist, quite as I've already said, and I don't say it too much because I don't believe you can build people up too much. Quite superbly talented guitarist. Why the guitar? Where did you first see it and think, that's what I want? I was talking to Nathan Cochran, he was on previous episodes, and he was saying where he saw his first guitar, and he's like, ooh, I want to touch that. And I said, well, that's how I felt about like boobs. So, I mean, good for you, man. But, it's just great.
You wanted wood, I wanted boobs.
Well, I know there's more to life now. Not much, but there is. Mate, when did the guitar speak to you? When did your epiphany happen?
Right, so it was strange because most of my life I've never really been interested in instruments or anything like that.
When you say most of your life, what age? Up until what age are we talking about?
Until I'd say when I was 15.
Okay, would you mind me asking what age you are now?
I'm 32.
You're 32. Okay,
yeah.
mate. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I've always been a big lover of obviously of music, as obviously pretty much everyone in the world is, but like I remember getting the Red Hot Chili Peppers Greatest Hits CD from Intesco, and I remember listening to that, and that gave me like goosebumps every time I heard anything on that album. And I'd never listened to them properly before. That was my first time.
Was there not that kind of rock music going around your house when you were a youngster?
No,
what were your parents listening to?
My dad listens to like The Who and Zeppelin and the Beatles. So I grew up with all that.
Yeah, it's a good upbringing.
I do love all that. I love all that kind of thing. The classic rock vibe, like all that stuff is great. And my mum was more into. My mum's very into 80s pop music, but. I don't really. My mum never really was a big person on always having music on and things like that. Okay. So like, that's why when I got the Chili Peppers CD, that was like kind of my thing. I was like, I could just put that in and listen to that on my own, and it's my own time.
Awesome.
And I did, but that didn't make me think I want to play the guitar. I loved listening to it and the way it made me feel and the stuff it made me think about. But then there was a day I had one of my friends. Because I used to live in Birmingham. I grew up there until I was 15, then moved to Lowestoft when I was 15.
Okay.
So before we moved, one of my friends came to stay at my mum's house. This was after my parents had separated. And he came to stay over at the house, and he brought a guitar with him, a blue Squire Strat. And I'd never ever been interested in anything like that before. He got it for his birthday, and he brought it over, and that entire evening I couldn't put it down.
Awesome.
And I then was like bugging my mum for months. Mum, there's this guitar on eBay. There's this guitar here. Can we buy it? And she's like, no, can't afford it. No. So for a long time I didn't have one. And then we moved to Lowestoft. I still didn't have one. And then I was in my last year of high school. And
so you're sort of 17, 18, getting on for 18 by this point? Or?
No, this is still when I was 15, because I'd been in my last year of high school. Because
they changed leaving high school, didn't they? Probably not long after you left, by the sound of it then.
Yeah, it was in 2006 when I left there, and I would have been 16 when I left. But when I moved here, I was still 15, and I would have been in my last year. And my mum and my stepdad wanted me to go back to school for the last year. And I was like, I'm really nervous and anxious because all these people in the school, they've already had a couple of years to make their friend groups and everything.
Sure.
And
what school did they send you to?
That was Benji.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
So went to Benji and but for me to go there, because I said no, I was like, I don't want to go and do it. I'd rather wait and just try and do it at college after at least, because I'm scared about it, if I'm honest. I don't want to meet all these new people that have already spent years together and stuff.
They've been together since primary school or nursery school,
yeah,
or
exactly.
even born in the hospital together. Some of these kids,
yeah, exactly.
I've got kids around here. I know how it goes. Yeah. It's from birth, mate. Yeah, you have a lot of catching up to do. Yeah.
So I was like no, and then they said, all right, well we'll buy you a guitar if you go to school. So I was like, okay, they bought me a Spanish acoustic. Okay. And I was like, okay, fair, because it was a guitar, I started learning little bits on that. And they're like, your old Smoke on the Water on the E string riff, So
you were teaching yourself from like your dad's records, or from stuff that was, I guess there was internet, so
it was very like I would go on Ultimate Guitar and look at tabs and stuff at the time. I used to go to the library because after I got my first electric, because it was a few months later at Christmas, I got my first electric, which they also bought me, and it came with like a little 15-watt Marshall amp, and it was a Marshall. It was called a Marshall Rock Kit guitar.
Great.
And it was like amazing. I loved it. My first electric, loved it. And I used to stand on the stairs. Literally, we lived in a flat opposite KFC just down the road, and I used to stand out on the stairs with my guitar and just play Smoke on the Water all night. And then occasionally learning Iron Man or something like that. Just the riff, just to get. And I was loving it. And I just kept pursuing with it. And then I couldn't properly find myself a band or anything like that would work. I didn't know how to write originals. All I knew was to do a lot was to play like Green Day.
So basically, you learnt this stuff from the music lit up by ear up to this point. You had any lessons or anything like that?
No, I didn't have any lessons.
Wow.
No.
Did you know any music theory?
No.
Do you now know any music theory?
Some, but not a lot. I kind of like just I'll learn a bit of a song and then I'll know that those notes go with those chords and stuff like that.
I always say that music theory is a need-to-know basis. You know, I was classically trained. I did it at GCSE and A-level, and had my harmonica teachers were very insistent that we learn music theory. I've probably forgotten most of it by now and would have to start again. I've actually started guitar lessons again recently, so we're going over, this is a triad. I'm like, oh God, I've got so old, I've forgotten it. But it just goes to show, and I think if anybody obviously listening, you know, hopefully listening to your music after this or knows you anyway, that it's not essential to know all of it. There's a need to know basis. No. So you've been learning by ear, which would explain the block party stuff that you've been picking up. You can pick up just off the top of it. So the ear training was everything to you. Then.
I'm still progressing with it. Like there's still a lot of things I listen to, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. And YouTube's great for stuff because you can like get help off other people. You can go watch someone play and be like, okay, cool.
See where their fingers are. You'd have to go and see them live and see where their hands are. Oh, he plays it up that part of the neck.
Because I like to get it right. I like to play it as the artist does. Sometimes I'll do it my own way instead, but I like to do it as the artist does. So I've watched like. With the Chili Peppers, I've watched everything they've ever posted online. Every video, live fit, everything.
Super fan. You're a super fan.
I've watched, and I watched the way they move, their choreography on stage, the way they get into it when they play.
Yeah.
And that inspired me when I first got into my first band. That inspired me, and I thought, they go nuts on stage. That guitarist pulls stupid faces when he plays guitar. Like they feel it, and I want to do that too. I want to go out on stage and not care that I'm making a stupid face because I want people to know that I'm enjoying it.
It's a very different generation to. Growing up in the '90s, being a teenager in the '90s. Because the '70s was all about show, '80s was very electronic and everything. But again, very very showy. But the '90s, from my was shoegazing. Okay, and it was like acting like you're not like you don't give a crap about it, but you're absolutely right. If you're going to play the song, it makes you feel that way. You want to express that, right?
Exactly.
So this is what you saw and thought. I'm having a bit of that.
Exactly that. Like those guys, honestly. Like I know they're not everybody's cup of tea. Ryan.
There are an awful lot of people. Does Ryan not like the Chili
Ryan's
Peppers?
Not a big Chili Peppers
Ryan,
fan,
I'm having words, mate. Words.
Me and Ryan were very opposite. Like there's some bands we kind of like together, but like he's more into his indie rock and that, and I'm more into like funky riffy rock. Like
so, I want to get on to TOR. I do want to get on to tour, but I don't. I want to get some chronology to it. We will get there. Save it, mate. Save it.
Yeah, it's all good.
So then you did sort of stuff solo. Then did you just think I'm just doing my own thing if I can't get in a band?
There was two friends of mine that I had an acoustic group with. There was the three of us, and we were called Based on a True Story. And we had a gig booked at the Flying Dutchman one evening on a Saturday, and those guys both bailed on me for the show. So I was like, I can't cancel this the day. So I still did it, and I went and did it on my own.
I cancelled it and chickened out and never gone in that pub again.
I was scared. Don't get me wrong, because that was the first time I'd ever played on my own. Yeah. And I was very scared, but I did it. And I thought, you know what? I don't need those guys. Like really, like I feel like I could do this without them. And I don't want people letting me down like that, especially on the day. Like, because we'd practice, rehearse, we'd got set, and then they were like, "Nah, I don't want to do it." And I'm like,
"Really?
Oh, okay,
what,
cool."
They just like didn't fancy it, got scared.
Basically, just didn't want to do it. They were just like, "Yeah, I don't fancy it now."
So you're still a teenager at this point.
Anyway. I think I was.
Who knows the reasons teenagers do things sometimes?
Oh yeah, well, I think we were like 19, 20 at the time, maybe.
Oh, right.
I'm not friends with those guys anymore. Like,
you're going to drop you in a shit like that. I'm not surprised.
Honestly, we fell out not so long after that, and then I started doing acoustic solo stuff under the name Robby Hodgey. And I had my friend Robert Bindley play guitar with me, so he was like the lead guitar, and I was a guitarist. The rhythm guitar and the songwriter. And I'd never really done my own thing properly before. I'd written a couple of songs, but like I'd never confident enough for me to go out. And then I remember one night I was at the Seabreeze with Bindley, and Tom Tonks was playing there.
Oh wow, he's still going about now.
Yeah. Well, he was playing there that night, and he asked me if I wanted to play a song during his set, and I was like, "Yeah,
right."
So,
of him, yeah.
So I played one of the songs I'd written, which I wrote about my skin condition, called "Just Like You," and I played that night, and then that became like a big song, like for me. Like a lot of people really liked that tune, and then I started gigging, and people were loving coming to my shows, and it was really nice for me, like to see how happy all these people were in what I was doing. So that was fueling me to be like, I want to keep going with this. So
that can I just interject there on the sort of people were coming and loving it? Were does it start off as friends coming to see a gig, and then sort of friends of friends? You want to come listen to my mate Robby? He's really cracking at this song.
Pretty much
like
was that.
Just word of mouth.
Down the Seabreeze on a Friday night.
Seabreeze, what a venue! Yeah, man.
Chris Thurston used to do acoustic nights down on a Friday, and he'd have all different artists, like four or five in an evening sometimes. Then you get to see like local things.
Yeah.
And I loved being a part of that. And then I would then go and play, and the people I was playing with would bring their friends. So then they would be able to see me, and then I'd see them, and my friends.
That's good local scene. Probably the last time we had one. Decent,
100%. Yeah,
awesome.
But yeah, that was like that. And then Bindley moved away, and I didn't want to continue on without him. So then that leads to meeting Cameron Taylor.
Okay, yeah, cool. So Cam I know of because the chap who runs the Invisible Band, Mr. Lee Chapman, ran for a chat about the Invisible Band and the Austin Beats and stuff like that. And Cameron works for them doing the singer, and I listened to the. So this is Painted Soul we're getting onto now, right? Yeah. And I listened to your track on there, 6,000 views on YouTube. That man's got an incredible voice.
He really does, mate.
Blimey.
Yeah. Well, thank you, though. That's really cool. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, he was great. But the way that we met was so strange. Like, I was at home and I was with my girlfriend. We were just watching telly. I get a text message come through from Christy Bullen. And
so Christy is, if I get this right, Christy is a guy who does he's a local guy who does the Ed Sheeran tribute.
Yeah, that's correct.
And he looks so much like him. Anytime I see his gig advertised, I'm like, what, playing down the Tudor Road? No, it's Christy.
It's Christy. Yeah, honestly, he's
does great. Perhaps Ed had come up from Framlingham on his day off or something and had a.
That'd have been lovely.
I've seen a couple of live streams with Christy. I mean, I've only got to know him really since unfortunately the start of the pandemic. But cracking. It seems like a real nice guy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, really talented musician.
Christy, if you're listening, give us a shout. Come and have a chat.
Yeah, I think you should, Christy, mate. Yeah, you'd love it. But I met him and this guy Rob. I can't remember Rob's last name. I think it might be Robert Harrison. But they were in a acoustic duo, and they'd asked me to support them at the Tudor Rose, and I'd forgot. So he texted me going, "Where are you, man?" And I was like, "Oh no!" So I said to my girlfriend, "I was like, I need to go. Like, I've got a gig, and they're paying me because they were giving me like 30 quid, I think." And I was like, "We need the money." And me and her had a row because she didn't want me to go. So we had a row, and then I went, played the gig, and when I was playing that night, Cameron was there at the bar, and every time I looked at him, he was just
staring at you.
So I was like, I'm gonna get decked tonight, and
what are you looking at, mate?
Yeah, I was like thinking to myself when I was playing, I'm gonna get jumped tonight.
It's hilarious. You go straight to the negative on that one. It's probably in the Tudor Rose. It probably wasn't too.
Honestly, it's because of the way he was just like. Staring right at me, like, and I was like, I don't know that dude.
We sometimes don't know how our faces read when we're doing that. When I used to play, because you said you were Benjamin Britten High School.
Yeah.
You have a teacher there called Mr. Chalice.
Yeah, the English teacher.
Yes, he was a guitarist.
Really?
Yes, in a band called the Harping Blues Band, for which I was the harmonica player. I was in a band with that man for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And when we used to get exactly that kind of reaction, because he's quite an incredible guitarist as it goes.
I'd know.
And we used to have, I can't believe he did that. Well, he did kind of like to keep them separate, I think, like professional from the, us hanging out and being in a dirty blues band. But we used to get guys standing at the back and just stare at exactly the same thing, like cross-armed at the back. And I thought, what are they looking at?
Yeah.
O'Reilly's, we used to kick in there and used to have like guys just staring at his hands because the man could play. And it is a spectacle when someone's, especially he weren't too shy about throwing himself around the stage either. And I think that is a spectacle. And when someone can really play, that really makes you look. So Cameron there was giving you the
literally he was just staring at me, and I was like, all I kept thinking was like, why is this guy staring at me for? What's his problem? And I come off stage when I finished. Well, I say come off stage. I stepped over the wires, and then
I love it. Like as musicians, we always look like big things up. I'll say like, oh, we're on a tour. What you mean is you got 3 gigs in that weekend. Down the local pub. Oh, we're doing a tour. No, you're not. You got 3 gigs down the pubs. You bugger. So we always, but it's what we do to make it look like we're actually,
Yeah, of course,
deal.
yeah.
So you didn't come off stage, you stepped across the wires.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the honesty on that one.
Say how it is. But yeah, and I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I was like, right, I stood there a minute, and I went back in, and he was like, he come right up to me, and he went, "You got a minute to chat, mate?" And I was like,
I don't know who your girlfriend is. I haven't touched her. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. I don't know, mate. But no, I just said to him, like, yeah, that's fine. Like, let's go. So we went outside, and he was like, right, this might seem a bit weird, but I'm a musician. I've been playing around the local area for a little bit now, and I want to get a band going. And I've been following you for a while, and I really like what you do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if you'd be interested in starting a band with me. So I was like,
amazing.
Okay, this story gets better though. I was like, okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, like let's do it. Yeah, and what do you want to do? And he was like, I don't know. We can meet another time away from here and jam and talk out what we want to do. So I was like, okay. And then we swapped numbers, and I went home that night. And I was really like, oh wow, I met this cool dude tonight. And my girlfriend didn't know him at the time. And yeah, I was like, I met this guy tonight, and he wants to do a band with me. And she was like, oh cool, you should go for it. And I went round, I messaged Cameron and I said, let's meet up. And it was like 2 days later, and I went to his house and met him. And I'd always really wanted a Fender Stratocaster. Like when growing up, that's the main guitar.
So you're still playing your acoustic guitar and your did you say the Squire? You're still playing that at the moment, or have you progressed?
That was the Marshall Rock Kit.
Oh, you're still playing that, are you?
I still have those, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But so I was still playing that this time, and I really wanted my own like Fender Strat, a proper Fender Strat. And I went to Cameron's, and there was a Fender Strat sitting in the corner of his bedroom, some rusted strings, dust all over the guitar. I looked at him and I was like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, that's like a really expensive guitar and you're just letting it go to... And he was like, yeah, I didn't ever play it. And I was like, I'll play it. And I played it that afternoon, and we went through some songs, and it was my solo acoustic songs that we were trying to put into a band.
Yeah.
And Cameron was going to sing it. And then he said to me that day that I could take the Strat back home with me to go cut the strings, clean it up. Because I said to him, at least let me sort it out.
Yeah.
And then that's never gone back. I'm not even joking. Like, I went home with it that day, and that was my main guitar in Painted Soul, was that black Stratocaster, and I still have it at home.
Beautiful.
And Cameron, like one day, like a few years ago, just called me up and just said, like, this is really random, but you've had that Strat for a long time. You put a lot of money into it. You can clearly see it makes you happy. Like, I want to gift it to you.
Bless
like,
him. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that ended up becoming mine. Like and I honestly, if you listen, Cam, I'm still really grateful, mate. Like,
well, yeah.
But yeah, and then we found the guitar player Adam Harth on joinmyband.com, and then we had a guy called Joel Mullen on drums and a guy called Jonathan Percival on bass.
So now we're into Painted Soul, right?
Yeah.
And what sort of era are we talking about? Are we still talking sort of late noughties? Or
this was about like 2013, 2014.
So this is your actual first full band,
Yeah.
second band that you've been in. So you had the acoustic outfit. So we're in band number 2 at the moment.
This was my first proper group with other people where I wasn't the singer. Right. I was glad about that because when I heard Cameron sing, I was like, I don't need to sing anymore. I'm good.
I'm done. Thanks very much. Yeah.
But I didn't care. I love what he does, and I think we really complement each other.
He's got a great rock voice.
Yeah,
he's got a great rock voice.
He really has.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started doing that. We used my acoustic songs as our set, but then we eventually started making our own songs together. And then the drummer Joel and the bassist Johnny ended up parting ways with us because Joel was having his first child.
Right.
And then I think Johnny wanted to stay in a band with Joel, so because Joel had gone, I think he didn't want to continue.
But while you're there doing that, I mean, there's, like I say, there's this video of Painted Soul, and it's really well produced. I mean, insanely well produced. And in fact, everything that you've sent me links to and I've managed to find myself is of a really high quality.
That's really kind, thank you.
Have you ever sucked? Is there a bit of your career where you were like, oh, that was kind of shit? Because I'll tell you what, for me, it was probably the first 30 years.
No, I doubt that. Nah, like, there's some videos on YouTube, man. If you look hard enough for me, there's some bad videos on there. Like,
really?
Yeah, really bad, but I don't talk about them. I don't talk about them.
So who did the videos for Painted Soul then?
That music video we did for End of the World, which was the one I sent you earlier, that was done by some guys from Norwich that our full-time drummer that ended up being Dominic Taylor, it was through him. He knew these guys that were really good, and we met them in Norwich to talk about
Was I jumping the gun? Was there a band lineup?
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, you're right. No, we were talking. Yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, so Dom knew these people, and we met them in Norwich. We talked about everything. Then we arranged a day to do everything. We had 2 days. We had the one day where we did all the shots with the band, and then we had a second day where Cameron did everything on his own, like all the parts of him in the video where he's in his, because that was filmed down off Heath Road in Alton Broad.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean,
There's like units down there, and we rented a unit.
I think they've tidied it all up now, haven't they, and stuff like that.
I haven't been down there in years.
Yeah, I think it's all tidied up, but I think I know the unit you were talking about. It's been derelict for ages.
Yeah, we had a room in there, and we used to rehearse down there. But we used it. It's in the video that the part with red walls and that. That was our old room. But that was just really fortunate. We paid. I think it was like over 1,000 for that.
Did you?
But between 5 of us, it's not a lot of money really. Like to split and stuff. But it came out. The quality came out incredible.
Amazing.
They edited it so well. We had drones and everything. Like it was awesome. I'd never done anything like that before. But yeah. So back to the band quickly. So Joel and Johnny had left. And there was me, Cameron, and Adam still. And then I worked with a guy called Charlie Tiffin. And I knew Charlie was a musician. And he was in a band called Silence the Defiler. And they were a heavy band. And he was their third guitar player.
Great band name. There's some cracking band names.
For
band names being such a pain in the arse to decide, there's some crackers.
Oh, yeah.
Silence the Defiler.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, awesome.
Well, you think about the first letter of each of those words.
Silence.
It's STD, isn't it? That's why they did it. I think
so much about that. I make magazines for a living.
That's why they did it, though, and that was funny. But they were a great group.
Not like the complete, utter, needless terrorist society that used to go around this town as well in the late 90s.
Never heard of that.
No.
That's pretty mad. Pretty interesting name.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Take the first letter of each word. He's thinking,
I feel stupid now. What was that?
Complete, utter, needless, terrorist society.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair play. Yeah, fair, clever. I like it.
They were fairly punky.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That
it is.
I had to think about that, and that blew my mind a bit. I was like,
I'm glad there's someone in the room slower than me on
honestly, I'm
figuring things
sometimes
out like that at just the moment. But yeah, you're in the realms of nostalgia, mate. I've taken you back. This is like some sort of psychiatrist regression.
Literally is.
It's great. So band lineup change. You managed to get these guys in doing this cracking video, and so I find it interesting you paid for that because I think. I get so, they tell you, I mean, everywhere you look at social media or anything, advice for a DIY musician these days tells you need a lyric video, you need at least one song video and stuff like that. And funding it's, especially for myself there with, not such a great paid job and, family to support and mortgage to pay and stuff like that. It's like, God damn it. But when you do put that amount in, but like you say, between 5 of you, that's not an awful lot. It's not an out of the way amount of money. But the results were unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really
fantastic.
We were really lucky with that. But yeah, so like I was saying, Charlie was in Silence the Defiler as their third guitarist, but he was getting to a point where he wanted to change the instrument. So I was at work with him one day, and I was like, "Would you ever want to play bass?" Because his dad's a bass player in a band called Load.
Okay, yeah, I know Loads. I know Al from Loads.
That's Charlie's dad.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's him. I'd love to get Al on for a chat. He's such a great guy.
Those guys would be amazing to chat with. Because I sometimes go down the Cava Studios for Lloyd, and I'll open up and let the bands in and set the rooms up and stuff sometimes. You sort
of help Lloyd out with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I see the Lloyd boys sometimes. Yeah. Lloyd's a great guy. But yeah, so Charlie had like some bass stuff because of his dad, so he was like, yeah, why not? And then we had a drummer in called Michael, but Michael got to a point in the group where he couldn't continue because he had something, I think it was called Meniere's or something like that, and it was affecting his hearing, and it was also affecting like his movements and things.
Oh, wow.
So he was getting to a point where he couldn't actually play sometimes. So we had to cancel, we cancelled 2 shows on the day because Michael couldn't make it. So we had to have the horrible talk with him that we were like, we're gonna have to,
it's not nice, is it? But at the same time, it's not you guys want to move forward.
Exactly that.
It's like I always said. There's many it's about probably your second band. By that point in my career, I'd probably been in my 10th, and I think it's like it's all fair. It's my friend always used to say, there's no tears in rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's like it is like being married to being like a couple of other blokes when you're in a band with them. But at the same time, you got to move on. It is it's just a band and it's not worth falling out over.
Exactly.
But at the same time, if it's not working for you, then you got to go and do something else, right?
We literally did. So we parted ways with Michael. That was a bit awkward for a while, but then ended up being okay. And then we looked on Join My Band again for drummers, and we had two guys respond: a guy called Chris and a guy called Dom. And we tried them both out at Cafe. We had an hour for each of them. We sent them the songs to learn. We said, like, these are the couple we're going to jam for review. If you learn them and come down. So we jammed with Dom first. And from the moment Dom started playing, I looked at the guys. I was like, "That's it.
Yeah,
like, that's the one." Like, it was about 10 seconds into the first song, and I was like, I just knew it.
I was talking to Ruben Trigger about that. He said about their bass player. Like he said, for in a minute he turned up. He says sometimes you can always tell sometimes you can tell from a minute how they walk in, or even how they plug the instrument in. Wherever you go, right, you're it, mate. That's it.
Yeah,
you know?
Honestly, that was it for me. Like, and then I was like, we obviously had to do the other guy as well, and that was all right. But the other guy wasn't as he wasn't as experienced as Dom. So he wasn't. They're very different drummers. Like Dom fit very well, but this Chris guy, I'm not saying he's a bad drummer at all. I'm just saying what he did kind of didn't go with what we were doing.
Right,
so we ended up going with Dom. I wanted to anyway from the get-go because
I fortunate to get two drummers. I mean, drummers are rarer than hen's teeth, aren't they? You know,
we were really lucky back then because I can't find one now.
No, what you're saying for your recent project. No,
so
Join My Band's still about. Perhaps a little advert on there or something.
Yeah. Well, you do get some replies on there, but like. Sometimes people will respond to you on there once, and then you'll speak to them back, and then they won't talk to you again. Because I imagine drummers as well. If you look on their drummers, there's so many views they get. They'll post 2 hours later 600 views because there's so many people that need drummers.
And they're always in 5 bands. As well, drummers. You know, they'll play. I play in a covers band for a bit of money. Then I deb in a wedding band for some money, and I do this and do the original. Like, well, can you commit to us? Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Literally, yeah. That was pretty much what it was. Like later on with another thing, but so then we ended up being Painted Soul as Dom, me, Charlie, Adam and Cam, and that worked amazingly for about 2 years. We did an EP, we did the music video, we went on tour, and I say 5 shows across the country.
It's a tour.
But we did that, and that was amazing. The chemistry that we all had together I'd never had anything like that before, so it was really good.
And in your second band as well, mate, you know, forgive me for saying, but you were very, and it sounds like you know it as well, incredibly lucky with that.
Man, I really was.
Yeah, my first band, you know, was some good touring and stuff like that. I was extremely lucky, and I'm not sure I've been that lucky success-wise since. I've been more lucky with personalities and music that I've created. But yeah, as far as success goes, it doesn't happen with too many bands, does it?
No. It's a weird thing. I think the whole music industry is just really weird in general, especially these days. Like the whole thing's so hard to actually get into. I think.
And it changes like almost on a daily basis at the moment as well. You know, you can either choose to chase that algorithm and and do something else, or Spotify's great. Spotify's ripping people off. Everyone's been vinyl, cassettes are a thing. I honestly don't know where it's going to go next, and what I've come to the conclusion personally is that all I can do is carry on making music.
Yeah, of course.
And releasing it and just seeing what happens. Really, that is literally the only thing you have any control of, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but as long as it makes you happy as well,
Well, this is the thing. I don't know about you, but I go through little cycles of it making me happy, especially with the original stuff.
Yeah.
Of covers was easier. Like I say, I was in 15 years. I was in a harping blues band, and that brought me nothing but fun. It was so like lack of any sort of real commitment or sort of drive to do it. We got about 4 or 5 gigs a year, and we hardly ever rehearsed because we knew the set and it was blues, so we made out as we went along most of the time anyway. And it was just literally fun until all of a sudden it wasn't fun, and I decided that I wanted to create my music. And the past 4 years has been an absolute roller coaster of wanting to give up, throw it all in, and never touching a harmonica again, and being on absolute cloud 9, thinking it's all amazing.
Yeah, it's really weird dynamic. I think like there's definitely phases where like I just think I don't see the point, but then there's other phases where like I can't not do it.
Well, it sounds to me like probably every time you pick up your guitar.
There's a lot of occasions though where I do pick up, and I just don't know. I'm not enjoying anything I'm making. I'm like, nah, this is rubbish. No one will like this. I'm not enjoying this. I feel like I've played this riff already, like in another key or something like that, and yeah, I have problems with that sometimes. But
how do you work through that? Do you work through it, or do you put it down and go, I'm having a rest? Because what I've learned to do, and only recently in the past, I don't know, 6 to 8 months to be quite honest, instead of going, right, that's it, I'm not fucking doing it anymore, it's to just put them down and just go. That seems to work for me. What do you do to get through?
Yeah, I guess I'd say I do the same thing. Like I'll leave my instrument alone, like, and I just, because I know that I'll just get annoyed if I keep picking it up. So I leave it until I feel like I'm alright with like that again. Yeah, I guess so.
I guess the great thing is, because I mean, I haven't asked you actually, have you given up your day job, or do you have a day job?
I did. I worked at McDonald's for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I went in to do support work for a few months, but now I don't actually work at all at the moment.
Okay, so you're not, but what I mean by that is you're not a professional musician.
Oh, no, okay, no.
Sorry, that's what I meant. I should be more specific.
That's my bad, sorry.
It was a quite ambiguous question from me. So I guess the great part for me about not having to have music as a living is because if I did have to do it, if I did have to do a tour, if I did have to do a gig because I was contractually obliged, putting it down and stopping would be next to impossible. And what I wonder is, would I end up hating it completely?
Maybe. I guess because everybody, even if you have a passion, I think for anything in life, and it makes you like, and you do it for your job, I think there does come a point where it does feel more like a job than an enjoyment, and it is sort of like, I don't know, like I've definitely got to points like that sometimes with things where I'm like, oh, I'm not enjoying this as much now, because it definitely feels like I'm just like, I'm looking forward to rehearsals, like and that, like,
that's generally when I switch bands, to be fair. I think they do say, I mean, the phrase is that, you know, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But at the same time, I really do enjoy the choice these days of, you know, my day job and however it is we choose to make our living outside of music. Having the choice to be able to go, do you know what, I don't fancy it. I don't fancy it today. That's a good way to be. I think it's easier that way. There's a lot less pressure as well. You can just, you know, go as you please sort of thing with it. I mean, as much as I dream about having one more tour before I curl up my toes, just one more little go around the horn and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome, man.
So how did you get from Painted Soul to TOR? Now, I'll tell you, we must have met before, because I did go on just before TOR a charity day over in Norwich at the pub called the Edward the 8th. I want to say.
Was that when they had those little poker chips as to get you free drink?
Yes. I never cashed mine in because I was driving, so I think they're still knocking around here somewhere.
I think I've got one at home.
Have you?
Yeah, we must have met that day then.
Was there some middle-aged man playing acoustic guitar blues tracks on before you guys started?
I think, yeah.
That'd be me.
That was a long time ago. That really was. Feels like it was
2019.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was a band on the other stage just before me called When Rivers Meet.
Okay.
And they're now a massive blues band.
Oh, okay.
And Danny R and I supported them in Bury St Edmunds.
Oh, wow.
To an absolutely round place. I mean, they're going on they're touring supporting King.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so they've gone massive, and they were at that day as well.
Oh,
so was Coral Cross, who said she knows you as well.
Yeah, I know Coral.
Yeah, she said, I'll tell you who you want to get in touch. Get Robby Hodgey, he's amazing. I went, well, funny, you should say that, Coral.
Oh, bless her. Oh, thanks, Coral.
Yeah, she's coming over Sunday. We've been, perhaps I shouldn't say too much, but she's working up a little EP.
Yeah, is she?
And, yeah, man,
Yeah,
she's recorded a track with her. And she's got one she's done with another producer, and something else she recorded. So she's just knocking together the last track, and hopefully, with a bit of luck and a fair wind, we'll have some new Coral Cross music.
Yeah, that'd be good to hear that.
Heard it here first. Sorry, Coral, if you want to keep a secret, tough luck. Never tell me secrets, I'll just tell everybody.
Yeah, Coral's amazing. I've known Coral for a long time.
Yeah.
She's always been a really, a high, tiered musician to me. I think she's very good at what she does. She writes really good songs, and her band, I think the Coral Cross band that she has, those guys were all great. I've played gigs with them before, and that.
Nice.
Yeah,
guys.
they're all really nice people. Yeah, but that's really nice of her to say that to you as well. So yeah, again, thanks, Coral. You're lovely.
She's very sweet, incredible voice, and one of those songwriters. And I don't know what your output is like, because obviously we've just met and I'm open to learn. But there's her and John Peach, who just write songs Like I think 4 songs fell out of John's pockets as he was walking upstairs.
Probably.
Just like, you know, so a Cole just said, "Oh, I wrote another song accidentally on the way here." Do you know what I mean?
See, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I feel like I have to take ages to write a song sometimes.
I lost a lot of confidence over the years. I lost a lot of confidence. I mean, I was in an original band called Nexus years ago, and sort of that was all original, and we were very, very close to sort of making it as close to anybody does get. My eyes rolling, you can't see that on the tape, but it takes I think it takes a lot of confidence, either that or just not giving a fuck.
Yeah,
you know, to a certain degree. So how did you get from I digress. How did you get from Painted Soul to TOR and the meeting of the legendary Ryan Redwood?
Ryan Redwood. Indie kid. But yeah, so Painted Soul got to a point where Cameron basically wanted to pursue a solo career in pop music rather than being a band with a rock band.
Did I see Riddle?
That's what. Yeah, that's what it turned into eventually.
Okay, right.
So he left Painted Soul. And the bassist Charlie also had gotten a job working in Spain with Ryan Redwood's dad, funnily enough. So the band was done, basically. Like we just thought we didn't announce it. We just sort of all went our own way.
Right,
And Cam originally wanted to do his solo stuff with me as his guitar player, but he ended up working with Asa Lambert.
Oh yeah, cool.
And their project was called Taylor Lambert. They did a few songs together, really good together. They wrote amazing together.
So I'm loving all these connections, because obviously I had Nathan Cochran in here last week, who's working with Asa in Like Optimists. And Asa worked with Cam. Honestly, it's great connection. It's a scene, and I love it, and it's filling in a lot of gaps for me. So,
it's really cool. But I saw Nathan last night actually in Asda, and I said to him, I was conscious to this day, he's like, "You're gonna love it, mate. It's great." He was saying about how much of a good time he had in that.
Oh, good. Yeah. He went away loving oat milk.
Oat milk, really?
Yeah. Well, we don't have cow's milk in this house anymore, so we switched to oat milk. The girls have it on cereals and in tea and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't have milk in anything anyway. He was like, "I love a cup of tea," so I only got oat milk. He went, never had that. And he messaged me afterwards about all the things we talked about musically and everything we do. What kind of milk is that you have? Send me a photograph. I need to buy it. It's just like rock and roll, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Get the milk out.
Yeah, get your milk out, boy. That's crazy. I love that.
It was hilarious.
I do like Nathan. He's a really, really nice guy. Like, he's such a good pleasure to talk with. And his band are great.
It's like Gentle Soul, but they are a great band. The energy. And I think that came across. I think that's kind of similar vein to energy-wise, slightly different genre of music. There is a bit more pop punk. I think yours is a bit more rock and progressive. Just my opinion from what I've been listening to it. But the energy, the absolute energy. I don't know if it's because you're young guys.
I don't know,
or that's the kind of music you were exposed to, or how you felt. But there seemed to be a high energy in both your kinds of music.
Yeah, I would agree definitely about Like Optimists. They are. Those guys are great.
It's full on, isn't it?
Yeah, they're great. Their music they make's great. I was literally talking to Nathan last night, just talking to him about his songs and just saying, you guys are the guitar work in those songs. I know a lot of it, Nathan brings in the sort of the song, and then I think as a kind of will come in and
it's like your guitar work on some of the stuff I was listening to, Painted Soul, and even the Smoke and Mirror stuff, which is your project now. The layering of the guitars, the using the guitars in an orchestral setting, and I was trying to think sort of what sort of guitar stuff. I'm a secret guitar head. I know I do the harmonica, but the way that instruments are orchestrated is fairly similar. But Johnny Marr, layering up the guitars, doing bits and pieces and stuff like that. And is there 2 or 3 or 20 guitars in there? The point is, it doesn't matter. It sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
That's, to my mind, that's the beauty and the expertise of it. And that's very present in stuff that they do in Like Optimist and yours as well. I feel.
That's really cool of you to say that. That's really cool. But I learn a lot from other people because I'm really not very clever with a lot of things in my life. My vocabulary's awful sometimes. Honestly, I'll say a word even if I don't know what it means.
Well, I think we're up to at least 20 words between us in the vocabulary of this one. But yeah, just expanded it by saying vocabulary.
Oh yeah, that's 21 now. But yeah, so talking about Cam got working with Azza. They did their thing, whatever. Azza has AJQJ and Like Optimist, and then he was doing Taylor Lambert as well. They were doing their thing, and then I really wanted to get back into music, but I was like, I need to challenge myself though. I need to do something I've not done before. And I'd seen Tour a few times when I was in Painted Soul, and they were just a 3-piece. And I used to watch them, and I really liked what they did. Their first single they put out, Nothing Less, absolutely love that song. Ryan, I don't care, Ryan, like what you said, I love that song. You know I do, mate. Like, that was the main thing that prompted me to want to be in that group. I was like, I feel like I can not make it better because it was already good, but like add something different, a different flavour
to it. To me, I can join in that conversation. It's like when you're at a party, isn't it? You know, or anything like that. You know, you hear something, you think, oh, I've got something to add. I've got something to add to that.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily like you say, be the be all and end all, but at least had something to add, something to create to the whole.
Oh, I hassled them for a while.
Did you?
Ryan kept saying no for ages. He weren't interested, and then eventually he was
Did you know each other before then?
Yeah, because of the scene. Like when Ryan was in British Rejects, and they were around when Painted Soul was around and that, so we kind of knew of each other. Because I used to hassle him when he was in British Rejects, to write original music, because they were doing covers, and I kept saying to him, write some originals. Yeah. And then eventually they did.
Getting the shit out of him, yeah.
Honestly, they did eventually, and it was great. Their first single they put out was called Faces, and that guitar riff, face melting. I love it. But yeah, so I hassled them for ages. Eventually, they said yes. I went down to a rehearsal with them, and I'd learned one of their songs, which was that Nothing Less song. I'd learnt that and put what I thought I wanted to put to it, and it didn't work. Like the whole rehearsal, it just didn't work.
Really?
Because I was so used to like lead guitar all the time and stuff. Like I was basically thinking I was alright, but it was too much, and the band were finding it hard to work with what I was bringing. So we tried it for a few more weeks, and Ryan said to me, if it don't work, it ain't gonna work. And I was like, that's fair, it's worth a try. And then one rehearsal we went down after about 4 or 5 weeks maybe, something just happened and it worked. Like it's like my brain just went, I know what to do now. And then we ended up I then learnt all their songs. Then I was with those guys for a couple of years. We went on, they did 2 tours, but I only went on 1.
Right.
Not because I wasn't in the band. The first tour we went on, we had Phil Down on drums, Ryan singing, Andy on bass and me on guitar, and that was a great tour. Pete, Ryan's dad, drove us around for the week. It was great. And then the second tour came round, and Phil had left the band at this point, and we'd got another drummer called Matty. And that was great. Matty's great, big Chili Peppers fan, so I was happy.
There you go, you're right, yeah.
It was great. But yeah, so then that got to their second tour, and my like well-being and mental health hit a really bad time.
Right.
And I could not physically find that I could go and do this. I said to them, I met them, and I said I can't go. And Ryan was like, you've got to go. And I was I can't, mate. Like I physically can't give you what you need right now. I need to be at home. I need to do my own thing. And they were really understanding after I'd spoken to them, and that they were obviously a bit upset because they wanted me to be there.
Sure. It's very brave and very honest of you to do that. It would be so much easier to avoid the conflict than to go with the flow, and probably have made yourself far worse off. So I think that's incredibly brave to say, guys, I can't.
Yeah, it was hard, and I was really scared to tell them.
I bet, yeah.
Like I didn't want, because Ryan's not afraid to say how he thinks. You know, like he's not at all.
And I love that about him.
Yeah,
I
same.
Really
like his honesty is great. You know, like but I was scared to. Mostly, look, the other guys I wasn't really as nervous about, but with Ryan, because this was Ryan's thing. And he'd let me in on this. That was a big thing for me to do. So, like,
badgered him for God knows how long.
Yeah, honestly, I heard about it when they got back. I got it all when they got back from the tour. But they did the tour. They had a great time away from what I could see. And then they came back, and I remember when they came back, we talked about things, and Ryan was quite emotional about it, because that band meant a lot to him. Like I say, so
achieved an awful lot. A really, really good band too. You know, really, it seemed like you were creating a good buzz
Yeah,
I think as well. Ryan's very, very good at the promo stuff and very good at,
he's on it.
That kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
With that group, I didn't even need to do anything a lot of the time.
Really?
Ryan would just get us the gigs. Ryan would post everything everywhere.
Yeah.
I just had to play guitar and occasionally go to the studio and stuff.
It's a force of nature, that boy. He's a force of nature.
Honestly, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the band then carried on for a bit, but then Ryan started to want to go with more indie direction. And I think me and Andy, the bassist, wanted to stick with what we were doing.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was causing like a kind of a weird vibe in the group. Like, and Ryan was feeling very like he was doing everything.
Yeah.
Because he was.
Yeah.
I can't deny that he was. He was doing everything.
Yeah.
And I think he just got to a point where he was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore because I feel like
same
I'm
as
on
you
my
going
own.
before the tour and saying it affects your mental health, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
of
was
course.
his breaking point and went, do you know what, guys, I've had enough. And I came to that myself with with one particular band to remain nameless. So yeah, I was doing everything, but I was happy to for a while. Because you're happy doing these things until you're not. And then you turn around and go, well, I wouldn't mind some help now, guys. And some of them are like, well, I don't know how to do that. I mean, one of the guys in the band I was in didn't even have access to the internet, despite having a mobile phone. And he went, well, I didn't do social media, mate, so I'm not promoting nothing, I ain't getting gigs. It was like, okay, well, we don't fucking get any then.
Yeah. But I felt really bad for like at the time when all that was going on, because I feel like me not going out on the tour really did knock things a bit. A lot, but I had to do what was right for me.
You had to do, absolutely, and hopefully you're better because of it now as well.
I still have my moments, but I still have my moments. I think we all have hardships in life, like
yeah,
everybody has their own stresses and things that they find difficult in that, and it's I cope a bit better sometimes with things than I used to, but like at that time, like when that was happening, I needed to do what I needed to do, and I'm not one to really be like saying how I feel about stuff. If people upset me, I'm not very often one to be like, okay, you've actually done this wrong. I'm kind of upset. I just kind of keep it like, let it burn inside me and not talk to them because it's confrontation really frightens me.
Yeah, I was brought up in a very confrontational household, so I go red rag straight off, tearing someone's head off, when in fact it would be quite measured and reasonable to take a moment, think about it. Well, actually, I don't think that was rather fair of you.
Yeah, literally. Talking about things, there's nothing when there's problems, there's nothing people can't at least get to some sort of resolution, even if you go separate ways still.
Yeah. I mean, you're still friends, and like I said, there's no tears in rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan's got his solo career now, which is going great guns.
Yeah,
and, you're happy with where you've ended up guitar-wise, and you're smoking mirrors and
stuff.
Oh,
yeah, like the experience I got out of tour was great because it helped me learn about a whole different style of guitar playing.
Really?
That I'd never delved into, and all these bands Ryan liked I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
But I was trying to basically kind of assuming the role really. I had to be instead of being this funky riff rock dude that loves the Chili Peppers, I kind of had to be. Okay, I got more Oasis-y, Foo Fighters-y and stuff.
I think that shows some. When you said about what you were doing didn't fit originally, I kind of something in my brain latched onto that, because I have worked with a fair amount of musicians over the years, and you have some guys in bands will turn up and one particularly guitarist I worked with was just all over things. Now, I'm not saying that's what you did, but it sounds to me like
pretty much is. It pretty much is. They're just like playing chords, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds great.
So he was then taken, not in a mean way, but said, look, mate, you're kind of overplaying, and it's kind of like too much. I mean, it even happened in the harmonica band I was in as a kid. We had one guy who was on lead, and he would just be whittly, 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 whittly. It's like, oh, for God, give it a break, and that's part of growing and learning as a musician. And I know the fella now, and he's an exceptional musician, and he does his beatboxing, harmonica stuff, and it's fabulous. And I think there's a slight sort of, I don't know, and it sounds to me like that was a big growing moment for you,
really
when they said, mate, that's not working, and you could have gone back you and taken my ball home, spat you,
I could have
chucked all your toys out of the pram and gone back at that. But it sounds to me like you're very mature about it, very and went, right, okay, well, let's do what the song needs.
Yeah.
And I think that is missing from a lot of younger or less mature musicians, even older musicians I know. I mean, harmonica players are absolutely renowned for it. You know, just I've walked up to jam sessions with my case harmonicas, and I'm like, oh, I see the eyes roll. Oh, we had a harmonica player last week, and he didn't know when to shut up. And it's like, I think that's a level of maturity as a musician that we like to attain and reach. I mean, still at this point in TOR, you're still a fairly young man, I dare say. You know, as far as your musician goes, especially if you'd only picked it up as sort of late teens.
Yeah. I'd never consider myself like a top tier guitarist, because I see some people play and I think,
well, I think there's like that virtuoso level. I think of that virtuoso of being able to play anything. And I don't know, the way your ears work and pick up that Block Party song and none of those, I'm pretty sure you're not far off, mate.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
But you keep doing it, I think, and especially with that attitude of maturity that you have there, that's a growth mindset, I think. You know?
It's definitely learned from people over the years, you know, like I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had with people, like even like doing that with Tour, like them actually taking that opportunity, that chance, and taking that risk of, you know, having me come in, you know, it was a big, that was their stuff, and I was coming in and being like, right, so now I'm going to add this to it and stuff, and like I said, eventually it just clicked and it worked. Brilliant. And it was really good. And the first song I ever wrote for that band, I wrote a full instrumental song. And I remember showing it to Ryan, and that was I was so scared to show them, because I thought, this ain't going to be what he wants. Like, this ain't going to be what he wants. And then he literally, as soon as I sent it to him, he was like, mate, that's amazing. Like,
that's a terrifying moment, isn't it, taking a song to a band? I even get the fear now. I mean, I've been hanging out with Danny for like 2 years, and we've spent a lot of close times together in the back of the van. Not what you think it is. Might be, I don't know, he's a pretty boy. He knows what I like.
Both pretty boys.
He knows what I like. But, you know, even now, when I write a song, I'm just crippled, absolutely crippled with the self-doubt of, oh, this isn't as good as it is, or this isn't as good as that, and what are they going to think of it? Are they going to turn it down, this, that, and the other? But, you know, there were things happening in my earlier career. I mean, when I was in Nexus, every song I took to them got absolutely poo-pooed.
Really?
Yeah, and I was fairly prolific at the time, every single one. I've got this idea instead. And I think part of that was that my songs were probably rubbish, because I was 19 years old and I didn't know my arse from my elbow. But also that they liked to write in a different style.
Okay.
So, and I think what's going back, like, you know, you brought a song to the band, Ryan brought his songs to the band. And I've sort of, I don't know, it interests me how bands come to write their songs. And Nexus was a very much like, the guitarist had a riff, and then the bass player had a riff to that riff, and then it made someone else think, so we would jam the songs out, which took fucking years.
That's a good way to do it
2 years,
sometimes.
8 songs.
Sounds like Painted Soul. Literally, like...
Was the same sort of process for you guys?
Yeah, Painted Soul was like really good to begin with. Like, we wrote a set and then we just kind of didn't write anything for ages. And like every idea we had, we'd be like, that's cool, like we'll work on it like next week, and then we don't, and then it just gets lost. Like,
I do find that if someone's got a whole song, and like you're saying, you make demos and stuff like that, I used to demo stuff on my little Fostex 4-track and take it to the band with my badly played acoustic guitar, a couple of harmonicas and some vocal harmonies, and go, here's the whole song. And I'd write out they must have thought it was so quaint, I used to write out the song sheet with the words and the chords over the lyrics and everything. I was so organised.
That's really good, and you guys are professional. That's great.
Danny, I remember the first time I presented Danny a song like that. I went, oh yeah, I've done a cut of sheet, and I'll message you a demo of the song. He couldn't believe it. He was like, what? He says, I'll never compete with that. I don't know half the songs. He says, I just grab a handful of guitar. I don't understand a chord. It's called bloody hell.
I haven't seen Danny in ages.
He doesn't just grab a handful of guitar. He knows exactly what he's doing, really. He's just modest.
I've known him for a long time, but I haven't seen him for a long time.
He said to say hello anyway.
Oh, bless him. Hi.
He'll be listening.
He's awesome. But yeah, so like with TOR, like that obviously went a bit that way, like, and Ryan then ended up being Ryan Redwood doing his thing, what he's doing now, because I think that knocked him for a while, and I didn't think he wanted to do anything for a while musically, because I think that band not working as well as it did really did affect him hard.
I think especially as far as you guys got as well, it was so promising.
Yeah.
It was so like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is it. This is actually happening.
Yeah, I just it's a shame really, like, but I'm really glad Ryan's doing what he's doing now. Like, and the songs he is doing is really great. Anytime he needs guitar, I will always help him out. Like,
awesome.
And he knows that. So if he texted me last week, I think, just being like, "So you're gonna come jam then?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come have a jam, man." Why
Blues
not?
Brothers getting the band back together.
It wouldn't be TOI, it'd be something like The Other Way or something like that. Like The Only Route, The Other Way. But yeah, so but aside from TOR, I felt a bit like a snake, if I'm honest, because like I was in TOR, and then as I was saying earlier about Smoke and Mirrors, I had my other songs that I knew wouldn't fit with tour, and I wanted to play them with a band. So the two people I got in touch with was Jonathan Percival and Joel Mullen, which were the bassist and drummer from when Painted Soul first started, the two that left.
You dirty rat.
So I started. No, that's not the snaky bit. The snaky bit is like I started working with them. We had this girl called Kaylee Salter. She's an absolutely incredible vocalist, lovely person as well. She lives in Norwich, and we had her come on vocals. It was great for a little bit, but then like her life got very busy, and she couldn't give us what we needed at the time.
Yeah.
So we ended up parting ways with her. And then I had a friend called Chris, and Chris is my best friend. Like, I love Chris so much. Like, if he is listening, you're amazing, man. Like, but anyway, I'd said to him, like, would you be interested in being a vocalist in my band? Because he's really incredible with rapping and singing and songwriting and everything. And I thought, you haven't done anything for ages. Come do something different. Meet some new people. We'll make a band. It'll be great. Yeah. And then he did, and it was incredible. And I was always really scared to tell Ryan, because I thought Ryan might have thought that it was going to jeopardise my time for tour.
Yeah.
It wasn't at all.
No.
I worked at McDonald's 5 days a week and did 2 bands, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then we got in the group with Chris in Smoke and Mirrors, and everything was incredible. We had all the songs started going, and everything was great. And I remember Joel, the drummer, when I started doing this with him properly, Smoke and Mirrors, I said to him, I was like, if you leave me again, I'm never talking to you again. I said, I know you had your situation with your daughter the first time round, understandable, but like, you kind of left us in a bad place, like, and you still did have time because you did other bands even after you left us, so you still had time.
So did someone call bullshit on that?
Yeah. So I said to him when he joined Smoke and Mirrors, I was like, if you do this to me again, like, we're done. And he did it again. So, and he now plays drums in You've Killed It. I like You've Killed It. Their vocalist Jack Murphy, he produces Smoke and Mirrors songs, like, apart from one called New Era.
Yeah. But
Jack's a great guy, great producer, great musician. His band's great. But yeah, so Smoke and Mirrors went to a certain point. Then Joel left, and we could not find another drummer. So me and Chris talked about it, and we thought, right, we want to try and rebrand ourselves. So let's be a 2-piece for now. We'll record everything at mine. Chris's. We'll record everything at Chris's, and then we'll put everything out and do it that way. So we changed the sound a bit, because originally we were like riff rock, Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that vibe, and it worked really well. But then, because it was just the two of us, Chris is very into hip hop, and he's very into like just beats and making beats and things like that. So he's got like a very good mindset with like sort of funky hip hop vibe tracks. So he was like, let's go for sort of a bit, let's dim it down a bit and go a bit more that way, so it's more easy listening for a more varied audience. And I was like, that's fair, okay, cool. So we released the song New Era, and New Era was like so different to our older stuff, and that went down great. People really liked it, and we were both really happy about it, because Chris pretty much did everything on that song apart from the solo. I played the solo, but even Chris helped me with that, because the original one I wrote was a bit OTT, and he was like, right, we'll work with it, we'll dim it down, we'll piece it out, and that. He's really good at doing that. I can't express to you enough, or anyone listening, how talented that guy is. Like, honestly, I'm so gracious, I'm so like glad, I'm so like I feel really lucky sometimes to be able to
privileged.
work. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, they're perfect.
You've worked with some incredible bods.
Yeah, I
And
really
you're only on
have.
band number 5 or something like that, eh?
4, yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say. Yeah,
blimey,
4, 5,
mate.
yeah.
That's like the same with Nathan. I mean, he's on his second or third band. And it's like you guys done such quality music in such a short amount of time, relatively, and you know, but at the same time had a good journey with it as well.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, it's not like, you know, I don't know. For me, it just seemed like a coal face for years, and I'm sure it's like felt out of time. But I'm really glad and really sort of I'm really made up that you acknowledge that and you see that and don't take it for granted as well. There's not one bit of you that takes any of that for granted.
Honestly,
and that's a beautiful thing, you know, and always make you appreciate it, I think, as well.
Honestly, everything I've ever done musically with anybody, I love it because it's a creative moment I had that's like unique to me. Like, I know that I'm going to spend the rest of my life knowing I did that.
Yeah.
And with those people as well. Like, even this, like, doing this with you now, it's really awesome because you're a great guy, man. You're good to talk to. I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I was really nervous today because I was like, it's a new person, like, I've never met, like, and I was like, oh, I hope I'm going to talk about the right things and stuff. And
there's no wrong things to talk about when you're talking about music. And
yeah.
this is it. I guess we don't. A lot of people have said, you know, it's different to any sort of radio or stuff like that because you spend like an hour and a half, whatever it is, in there, and really just talking about your love, the biggest love of your life, which is music. And you know, I mean, I only used to get those sort of conversations really when I was in a band in the 90s and we'd had one too many reefers and it had gone past 2 a.m, then these sorts of conversations would open up. But here I am having them on a weekday evening with people I've never met before, and it's fabulous. But I love the way that music brings people together like that. And you know, I'm loving that you came on and that we talked about our local scene. And it sounds to me like I always thought that the lifestyle music scene was a way away. It was like the 90s and the brewery and stuff like that. But you know, you're talking about stuff from the mid or early to late noughties, and it's creeping up. And I think there's plenty of opportunity for us all to get together with all these new friends and all these connections.
Yeah, 100%.
And do it all over again. You know, some good collabs. I mean, that's one thing I just want to ask you just to finish up, if that's okay, quick. Like, you know, you've got your garage band. You're an incredible guitarist.
Thank you.
Do you not do? Because I like. Get a fair amount of requests these days, especially since having my home set up to do. We had a bit of harmonica on this. We do a bit of that. Do you get asked to do stuff like that?
That's what I do with Cameron now. So like Cameron went from being Taylor Lambert to Riddle, and then when he was Riddle, I'd had some songs that wouldn't work with Smoke and Mirrors. So I'd showed him, and I just got my MacBook, and we then started like working on this song I did because I had the full song only on guitar. That's all I had, and I showed it to him, and he was like, "I love it. Let's record it." So we made a basic. That was the first thing I ever recorded on GarageBand on my MacBook. Was that song with Cameron was Aphrodisiac, and we ended up recording just loads more. And now I basically I write music with Cameron / for Cameron, under his name Cam Tina. Cool. But that's been going on for a while. That last video
you guys put out was fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Really nice.
So do you? I mean, what I was asking was, do you play guitar for? If anybody wants a bit of guitar,
anybody, if you want,
get in touch if you want some excellent guitar.
Honestly, like anybody, If anybody wants to, like, you know, me to lay down something on the track, I'm happy to. I love it.
It's so freeing, and I think those collaborations. You know, I try to do as many as I can. Last week I did about 4. I mean, I have it comes in peaks and troughs, not 4 every bloody week. Jesus, I'd never see the wife and kids. But in between this and playing at a duo with Danny and everything else. So yeah, you're up for a bit of that, and you know, keep doing what you're doing, mate. Please do, and thank you so much for coming over and sharing your whole journey with us.
Thank you for having me and listening to me talk about my life.
I love it. Your musical life, your musical journey. If you know, see if you can encourage Mr. Cam T to come on and have a chat with us. It'd be lovely to have you back.
I think he would probably really enjoy doing this. Yeah? Like, I think I reckon he'll do what I did, and he'll listen to our one, and he'll be like, I want to do that.
Get FOMO.
Yeah, I really do. I think he will. Like, Cameron's a great guy. He's had a lot of things happen. He's had a lot of experience in the music industry and that. And I think he'd be really good to have on here.
It's just nice to have more bods around to talk about music. To
Yeah,
be quite honest.
anytime, man. I'm happy to come on anytime.
Fantastic. Well, look, Robbie, thanks so much, mate. I'm going to put some links to where people can find your music and stuff like that in the description of this. And it's been lovely to speak to you, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to chat with you too.
You're very welcome. Take it easy.
Yeah, and you. Thank you.